He started fighting as a child because he was scared. Well, he is one of the scariest fighters in the sport.
Ripping Omaha, Nebraska.
You can say that Canelo's going to knock Bud out, but is he?
Fight fans, welcome back.
Hey, I told them, they don't know how strong I am.
As an enthusiast of the sweet science, you'll be hard-pressed to remember a more optimistic time in boxing. The next heavyweight generation is unraveling, and now the 4 lower weight kings are being given the platform to shine. Power, confidence, and a wealth of talent. However, not everyone has been fortunate enough to benefit from such close competition.
Problem is, there's no dance partner. You can look as good as you want, you'll be moonwalking by your f***ing self.
Instead, just like his in-ring demeanor, Terence Crawford's route to greatness is a little more unorthodox.
Bud Crawford is one of the best I've ever seen don the gloves.
We've given you 10 reasons why Canelo might be too much, but here's where things really start to get interesting, because this is why, in a leap of faith that was first ridiculed, Terence Crawford could shock the entire boxing world.
No man has done that! Crawford just did it!
One day you be like, all right, I hit my ceiling. But then there's a ceiling after that. You break through this ceiling and you're like, oh man, there's another ceiling up there. Let me go try to break through that.
Is that last ceiling Canelo Alvarez?
That means big fights are being made. Guys are coming together. They're saying, screw the politics, screw the promoters, screw everything. Let's make it happen.
As the fight nears reality, the doubts are starting to creep in. They always do.
I said before, the big, talented man will always beat the small, talented fighter. But Terence Crawford is not small. Terence Crawford is a big guy.
Especially since some of the factors that initially saw Crawford wrote off might not be as detrimental as once imagined. Age, specifically, won't work in Canelo's favor as much as we thought.
I feel great. I never smoked, I never drank, so my body is well preserved.
Even at 37, Crawford is still the fresher and more mobile of the two.
Does anyone really look at Bud Crawford and his recent performances and think he's slipping in any way? Do his reflexes look shot? Like nothing about that is true. And
to the head and the body, and there's!
And with them both approaching a stage where every fight can show new forming cracks, Alvarez looks the more likely to be slowing down.
I think Canelo is on a decline. It's not so much his mind, but his body. He's not giving the same thing he was giving some years back.
Neither man will have any difficulty covering the 12-round distance, but one certainly has far less margin for error.
Oh, and a big body shot!
So it's one thing knowing the game plan, but sticking to it is another thing entirely.
Mayweather has defeated him, winning every round of this fight.
In a glass half full viewpoint for Terence Crawford, Canelo might have come full circle since the Mayweather fight back in 2013.
Everyone is now saying that he's not the same fighter. He's not looking the same.
Back then, a green, impressionable Canelo was a little too eager, and now, exiting his prime, it could be as good a time as any.
Floyd, Bivol, where's the mistakes? You know, you gotta get that 10 out of 10. You don't make mistakes. It's like Tiger Woods, you don't miss putts.
Mayweather showed how to keep the younger version at bay. Clean, efficient work on the back foot with selective aggression at the right moments. And while an older Canelo now relies more on counterpunching,
There's been whispers that perhaps his best days are behind him.
Terence Crawford is probably the only man in boxing with the same toolkit and smarts to execute such an airtight game plan.
Razor-sharp reflexes, counters, and a childlike joy when it comes to hurting his opponents.
I'm not going to say he's just as good as Floyd Mayweather. I'm not saying that. But he has some of the same traits defensively as Floyd Mayweather had.
He destroyed Errol to such a level where in the immediate aftermath of that fight, people were saying, Crawford versus Floyd at 147, who wins? You know how crazy that is?
I do what's necessary to get the job done and secure a victory. And I feel like in the Canelo fight, I would do everything within my will and my power to do the same.
The key will be in the finer details, and most of them won't be revealed until fight night. What we do know is that Crawford is the master of adjusting and finding a way.
If he's switching back and forth, he's trying to figure you out. But once he stays in that southpaw stance for 2 or 3 straight rounds, he got you.
So whether he needs to put his Shakur Stevenson track shoes on and make it boring,
I think Bud is the better boxer, IQ-wise, and I think he could beat Canelo Alvarez.
or test the waters and take a few risks,
He's digging in his ass every round. Like, beat his ass up, beat him down. Don't think he beat.
he won't leave anything to chance. And there's too much dog in him and fire in the belly to go out like Charlo.
You're losing the fight. What do you want to do? But then you gotta fight it.
Bud can't afford to engage too much, but Canelo can't afford to let him get too far ahead either. After all, this is a creative southpaw with a big bag of tricks.
He is in the hurt business. He breaks you down, he unlocks the key, and he gets rid of you.
So that just lets me know right there that I'm a threat to him. I'm a threat to him, I'm a threat to his legacy.
He doesn't care about promotional adherence. He cares about this challenge and the legacy.
Canelo doesn't look to have budged in his 168 demands. However, even in a bull versus matador style matchup,
Canelo fighting with no fear.
the Omaha native won't make things easy.
Crawford looking at this going upstairs and downstairs, picking them apart.
And outside of Mayweather, Crawford is the best boxer Canelo's faced.
I think boxing-wise, he's going to give Canelo fits.
Terence Crawford is the best fighter in the sport. I mean, he's proven that.
You want to fight? Here comes Bud. One of the best finishers in boxing. That's it. Bud Crawford.
You could argue that Bivol is more fundamentally sound, but Terence has a much broader skill set and is the more athletically gifted.
But Terence Crawford now is my one of the favorite fighters. He has good skills, very good skills. Maybe he could show us something.
Bud's IQ is also up there with the best in the sport, and with those wrestling skills that complement his natural strength, he's unlikely to get bullied in the clinch.
You're one of the only elite boxers that can wrestle. Has anybody ever come to you and said, Terence, what do you think? Dip your toes in the MMA water.
Instead, it's two more of his best attributes that are likely to cause Canelo trouble.
And also, at this stage in Canelo Alvarez's career, stylistically, I'm not sure he wants to fight a mover that he's going to be chasing around the ring.
The first one is movement. And while Canelo's struggles with fleet-footed stylists, referred to as his kryptonite, has been blown way out of proportion.
And you've seen Canelo have those problems with like Lara, but that was a long time ago, and I feel like Canelo's gotten a hell of a lot better.
As he showed against southpaws like Saunders, Jacobs, and Plant.
Canelo looking to finish off Caleb Plant, and down goes Plant, and this one is over.
There is still plenty that Crawford can take confidence from.
And look at that combination, the right hand that backed up Alvarez, and Alvarez shrugged it off, but still.
Canelo relies on body movement rather than foot speed, especially these days. So if Crawford can keep him hitting fresh air like Lara and make his own movements count like Bivol,
looks much better.
Then the dimly lit path to victory starts to brighten.
Once he got touched, Bud turns into a different animal in that ring, and he's hard to deal with. He's pretty much a savage once he gets touched, and you can't stop him.
And likewise, where Berlanga and Munguia were a little too hasty when it really mattered, patience will be key in September.
All top fighters are calm in an uncalm environment, but he takes it another step.
And the question of who shoots first will make all the difference.
The dude is an alien, man. I've seen Crawford do some crazy, freaky things. I've seen Crawford spar heavyweights. I've seen Crawford spar middleweights. He sees something in Canelo that he feels that he can exploit. And I believe him.
I still think the only man that can beat Canelo is Terence Crawford. That's just what I think, and I want to see it.
So the second and maybe most relevant factor of all will be the counterpunching.
Right on the money, right on the button.
Where the bright lights force others to act, Crawford will have the confidence and the composure to wait.
Those eyes of Crawford lock in now. The eyes of a skilled puncher. We've seen it time and again.
And his ability to punch in between his opponent's shots is in a league of its own.
Sean Porter makes too many mistakes lunging forward like that. Boom, hit with an uppercut. Terrence stepped right to the side, creating an angle for himself.
How well he can do it with an additional 20 pounds of weight, however, is another question.
His one Achilles heel, in my opinion, is if you say certain things to him or if you get him into a certain emotional state, he'll exchange with you.
Sometimes I can get drawn into that wheel of, all right, you want to fight, let's fight. But at the same time, if it comes to that point, then it will be a firefight.
But if Bud filters out the habit of taking a shot to give one and only commits when necessary, then the Mexican maestro's best weapon could evaporate, ensuring a more reckless Canelo and a more exciting fight.
Whenever you've seen little guys move up and beat big guys, they have to make a showing in that first round. They have to land something big. Ali versus Foreman, Roy Jones versus John Ruiz. They have to let the bigger guy know that they're in there with a real fighter.
So any success Crawford does have might only make things worse.
After the first round, Canelo sprinted across the ring and stalked Charlo for the rest of the fight.
And it remains to be seen how well he could cope with an onslaught like that.
Because he knew he was too small to hurt Canelo.
However, the opinion of a man who knows better than any other suggests that Crawford certainly won't be easy to find. And having faced both, Amir Khan's opinion recently swung in favor of the Nebraskan for this very reason.
Canelo's stronger and he's easily hit. Very easily hit, very easily. Yeah. Compared to when I fought against Crawford, I couldn't even hit clean. Yeah. So really, that's the difference.
Don't get me wrong, Canelo quite literally knocked the snot out of the Brit.
Amir Khan with a tricky style.
But Amir was outboxing him before the stoppage.
Everything was sustained. He was throwing in combination. He was controlling with the jab. He was forcing Canelo to lose positioning, his defensive positioning when he would throw the jab.
And that same outside fast boxer style, which caused Alvarez a lot of problems, 3 years later against Bud, barely won a round.
If it does happen, as long as Crawford stays away and just boxes and be smart, he can win that fight.
Your fights are often a chess match early, and eventually you open up. This felt like a chess match almost all the way throughout this fight. What made him so difficult?
Last August, the entire spectacle was put into doubt.
Do you think talk of him facing Canelo should stop?
That's ridiculous. That's why we have weight classes. Size does matter.
Israel Madrimov put his best foot forward in a 12-round war with Crawford and almost ruined everything.
Yeah, but Crawford didn't look too powerful against Madrimov.
Oh, he walks on to the uppercut though, good shot.
So I think a lot of that had to do with how good Madrimov was, rather than, Crawford falling short at 54.
And while things have come full circle, the Madrimov win is one that will age like fine wine, especially considering his February showdown against Virgil Ortiz.
I don't know, how does that look now with how we looked at 54?
At the end of the day, I don't put anything past Terence. He's a special man. When he puts his mind to something, he's been able to do special things.
Dance on the fly is much more flat-footed than Madrimov, so Crawford's elusiveness and ability to get out of danger against the bigger man was not only extremely impressive, but crucial.
Crawford headed towards another world title in another weight class.
Was this your toughest fight, do you think? You won the fight, but
Nah.
I'm trying to think what was tough.
I wouldn't say it was my toughest fight. I think Mean Machine was a tough fight. I think Gamboa was a tougher fight than that. I think Benavidez was a tougher fight than that.
Tonight, Terence Crawford was with Turkey Ali Sheik at the other. Put out an open challenge to you, calling you out. What's your response to Terence Crawford's call out tonight?
I think this is gonna be a fun fight. I think you're gonna have your hands full, but I think you're gonna handle it.
You always handle it, man. I don't know, man. It's just something about you.
Crawford has always been a told you so kind of fighter.
Good fight, man. Appreciate it, man. Thanks. Thanks.
Yeah, you can puff as well, obviously.
I told you.
Built for the big stage, his best performances have always come when they mattered most.
We seen him get rocked by this guy. We seen him get rocked by that guy. Yeah, we did. But when he got in with the best, we saw him as sharp as he ever was. Yes.
So much so that now, entering 2025, he's become a near impossible man to bet against. The skill set already makes him tricky to prepare for, even more so with his unknown quantity at super middle. But while he enters here, again, as a clear-cut underdog, his ability to not just cope, but thrive under the bright lights makes it even more interesting.
I don't know nobody who is mentally as strong as Terence Crawford. So
I've been fighting bigger guys my whole life. So this is nothing new.
That, and his biggest told you so moment, is paired with win-win insurance.
And God bless him. Anyone who gets in that ring should get paid for the risk they take. And I'm so happy he's getting paid.
First of all, I fight for me. Because if not, it's not gonna be the same. You know? You need to take care about yourself and fight for you, and then you take about everybody.
You can't feed a family with legacy, and this one fight could surpass all of Crawford's previous career earnings.
There's really nothing for me to accomplish right now. Like anything, it's about the money now. It's about the money.
We just getting started.
But these two generational kingpins are built different. A Canelo victory puts the latest influx of doubters back into the shadows.
The pound-for-pound #1 going up against the former pound-for-pound #1. Two top 5 pound-for-pound guys going at it. That is a can't-miss fight.
However, for Bud, a win here cements him as the best of the last 30 years and into some serious all-time great discussions.
Well, I'm pulling for Bud. That's it. I mean, but it's a 50-55. I wouldn't be surprised either way, but if Bud wins, man, he gotta go down as one of the all-time greats.
So for the Nebraskan, it's time to eat, literally. Another chunk of lean mass for the biggest step up in boxing history.
This is what your boy Triple G talks about when he says Mexican style. This is Mexican style.
And what ifs that were once shunned become an absolute reality.
People gonna look back and they're gonna be like, man, dude was good. That's when I'm gonna get my respect.
Terence Crawford is a fighter that's gonna be talked about forever.
Enjoy them while they're here, because they don't make them like this anymore.